Hello everyone, my name is TheMadScorpyon and welcome to another reset update for Destiny 2. Now in this one, just going over the top, we did have an update patch that was launched. I do have a video that will be out before this one covering it, but some of the big things that happened was basically the Sentinel Shield damage multiplier that was happening. It is no longer around, but it was properly buffed, so hopefully it is appropriately doing increased damage, as well as the tonics as a whole getting a focusing as well as duration buff, so tonics as a whole should be more effective nowadays. But aside from that, of course, the Dawning, that is something to be discussed. It is basically the second week, which means you have 14 days since the reset, and of course, counting down every hour of every day until the Dawning goes away, which as a general advisor, anyone who needs anything done with the Dawning, whether it be with the weapons grind, earning cosmetics from Eververse, grinding out the cookies and the titles, anything Dawning, Eververse, or anything related in the 3, basically, just get it done now because you're losing more and more time as soon as the Dawning ends. It is gone, and as I always warn, we have no idea if we're ever going to get another Dawning, Lord knows with Crimson Days, that the last one happened and no one expected it to never return, so they may be missing some things from it. Regardless of my dire warnings, we need to get into the world at large. For the weekly Nightfall, we have the refreshed Arms Dealer, which at current is, I'd say, pretty farmable. I don't really know how much the Banes and modifiers have exactly changed it. It has been pretty easy. I know I did this one try, so it hasn't exactly been a difficult one in the past, but at the same time, it is a Grandmaster that is available in case you want to hunt the Adept loot, which the Adept loot in mind is, of course, the Izume RR4, which, a warning, this is the last time, supposedly this season and for a while, that the Izume will be earnable as an Adept sniper. Yes, you will still be able to focus it and earn the Izume itself, however, this is the last chance to actually earn it from the rotation and get it Adept. Which, I'm not gonna lie, this is one you can miss out on. I know Izume is okay, but at the same time, I don't think it compares to other things like the Succession, although I know this one might be better for Crucible, just because Crucible people like stats as opposed to damage. Regardless, I don't think it's exactly worth farming and getting the perfect roll. I would personally save that time for something else in terms of the Nightfall playlist, or maybe save that time and go for some raids and farm out the red borders you have been missing so long. Starting off with the Crucible, of course, at the top end, we do have Trials coming back this week with a alleged Trials reputation booster, so keep that in mind in case you wish to just grind out the ranks of Trials. Regardless, with Crucible as a whole, for our labs, we do have Hardware Supremacy, which is Supremacy, but there is more guns, way less abilities. As well as 6v6, we do have Supremacy Standard, as well as Control. And then 3v3, we have Elimination Competitive, and the usual comp, and the usual Rumble for your options on Crucible modes this week. For the weekly featured farm content, starting with our raids, we do have two per the usual. The first being the Deepstone Crypt, which in this day and age, I would definitely say is worth going for either collecting the red borders or collecting the exotic, because while the exotic may not be a meta choice, in certain scenarios, it can be exclusive fun. It is a multi-shot tracking rocket launcher. Every shot can track individual targets, and if you kill at least 4 targets with a volley, you will get the round returned. So theoretically, as long as you can keep killing, you have an infinite ammo rocket launcher, which is very good, especially in the eyes of ad clear scenarios. But aside from that, the entirety of raids has excellent red border crafted weapons. The sniper rifle, the shotgun, the machine gun, many weapons from this are still kings of PvE land, even in this day, even though this raid is, I think in my head, 4 years old at this point. 4? No, 5? It's possible. Time is an illusion with Destiny. However, the next one is the Root of Nightmares, the second most recent added raid, excluding reprised raids. It also has red border weapons that I would say are pretty top tier in some aspects. I know the auto rifle is sought after. The linear fusion is certainly an option for good things, and I do know here and there other things are, I would say, diamonds in the rough while still being a bit rough. However, I would definitely say it's worth farming this one if you don't have the exotic, because it is the definition, I would say, of meta, because it is a solid, simple shotgun. Basically, it's a double barrel shotgun. The first shot, if you hit enough shots, you freeze the target. The second shot, if you hit enough of the shot, you ignite the target, which makes it the ultimate in unstoppable killing, because both of its shots have the capability of stunning and killing unstoppable champions, not to mention what it can do in the Crucible. However, at that point, that is the two raids, Deepstone Crypt and Root of Nightmares. Again, since the usual, they will all be featured infinitely farmable, master modes available if there are available, which is only for the Root of Nightmares, so if you wish to hunt Adept Root of Nightmares weapons, that is also an option. Moving into the realm of dungeons, the first available is the Prophecy Dungeon, which, while it did get refreshed and reprised not too long ago, adding origin traits, refreshing rolls, adjusting damage types, and reintroducing some weapons, the same fact cannot be said for the variety, because at the same time, there is no master mode, so you cannot farm for artifice armor. Its exotic is quest-based. Even if it is still available from this dungeon, it is still not a farmable one, so it's kind of a one-and-done scenario. And there is no red borders, so if you want a role specifically, you will have to farm for it. Although, again, being featured, it can be farmed infinite amount of times, so you can hopefully grind for it. But speaking of infinite grind, Ghosts of the Deep is the alternate option on the list. Now, this is a current dungeon, so it does have access to a master mode you can farm Artifice Armor for, but it is a slog of a farm. Only if you are a world record speedrunner is this at all a fast dungeon. And as well, the weapons are pretty good. I know the rocket launcher, grenade launcher, SMG, all are shiny in terms of their value, but again, you'll have to grind out the encounters infinite amounts of times in case you want to hunt the role that you are seeking. So, with that, I don't think it's exactly a great week for dungeon farms, unless you're literally just looking for pinnacle drops to run. And touching base on our last weekly featured thing, it is the Star-Crossed Exotic mission for our featured mission, which of course, it brings some red borders from the season that I forget Star-Crossed came from, season of the Wish. I might just refer to a season of the Dragon in the future. Regardless, this season's red border weapons, if you missed out on any of them, you can of course earn them from this activity, as well as the Wishkeeper Strand Bow, which by its own respect is a very solid elemental bow. Strand is certainly effective, and suspension on command in case anytime you need it, but at the same time, it wasn't exactly anything shiny to me. I used it, I had some fun, but considering it is basically the green flavored version of Hierarchy of Needs, Hierarchy still seemed way more solid. But apart from my own preferences, it is still a very good bow. Recommend especially getting the Catalyst version so you can spec it out a little bit more. However, that is pretty much the end for our weekly featured activities. Now with our raid challenges in total, we have, starting with Salvation's Edge, the Scenic Route Challenge, which again, I don't know what these are. Unfortunately, Salvation's Edge is just not high on my tier of priority of learning. Then with the rest of them, Crota's End is once again bugged and not displaying a challenge for some reason. The Root of Nightmares is featured, so all challenges are active and infinitely accessible. King's Fall is the Gaze Maze Challenge, which is the Golgoroth Challenge. The Valid Disciple is the Looping Catalyst, aka Rolk Challenge, which in summary is don't mess up and you'll get challenge mode done. The Vault of Glass is Strangers in Time, which is the Atheon pre-game encounter, or the Gatekeeper encounter. And then the Deepstone Crypt, again, being featured. It is all challenges active. Everything can be farmed. Garden of Salvation is 0 to 100, which is the Sanctified Mind Challenge. And the Last Wish is the Forever Fight, which I believe is Morgith or Vault. I forget specifically. And wrapping up with our Master Farms, Salvation's Edge Master Mode is giving you Discipline-focused armor. And Root of Nightmares is giving you Recovery-focused armor from its Master Mode. And once again, because Deepstone Crypt does not have it, it does not have a Master Mode that you can farm from it. And wrapping it up with our Legacy Dares of Eternity Expert Mode. For the Expert Mode, we do have Cabal, Taken, and Crota for the list of encounters in Dares of Eternity. We did have a slight expansion on last week for our seasonal challenges, the first being Overachiever for completing bonus objectives in the Tomb of Elders. Please, I plead with you, if you're running Tomb of Elders or Contest of Elders especially, do the side objectives. They can only benefit, and a lot of times they are less of a detriment to your team. The next is for unlocking artifact mods. Basically, play the game, earn XP until you get all your artifact mods, and this will complete outright. Pretty late in the season for that challenge, though. The next is the I guess this was already done. Basically, run things over with your Sparrow in any playlist activity. Bonus progression if you deal them final blows to Guardians. Now, I guess this might be auto-completed, it might be bugged, I don't know. I don't think I ran over nearly that many things nowadays. And then there is Gotta Win Them All for completing activities in the 3 core ritual activities. Bonus progress granted for completing Vanguard playlist activities at advanced difficulty or higher. That basically means Nightfalls and winning Gambit or Crucible matches, beating other people. And the next is Fleeting Glory for completing Crucible matches in the competitive playlist with bonus progress earned for wins that will keep it quick. And then lastly, Kinetic Focus for getting final blows with kinetic weapons, and as usual, bonus progress for defeating Guardians in the list. And like I always try to make sure to mention, the Eververse will of course reset once the Dawning leaves, getting rid of all these seasonal items, so get what you need, what you want, while you can. But getting into the front page of Bright Dust, on the front we have Celestia, a shader from, of course, the Dawning, which seems relatively new, although it might be one that I just missed from many of those events ago. It's a pretty solid look, but very daunting in idea, so it still kind of hurts the eyes. The next is the Dawning Celebration, which is kind of a lavender. I think that's the appropriate color shade, but it's a simple look. The gun does differ a little bit because it does have a yellow glow to it, but there we go. The next is the Snowflake Projection for your ghost, in case you want to look a little bit more festive on a ghost, although the irony being that my ghost is on fire and Snowflake is still there. The next is the Frosty Friend, which is you and a friend putting together a snowman and trying to make, I can't believe I forget his name, Jack Frost? I can't believe I forgot it, but you know, you make a snowman together. It's quite cute. And next is the Winterview shell, in case you want your ghost to look like the traveler in the city as a snow globe, which I guess when it moves, it might actually rattle and make snow. But it looks a little weird, but a little cute at the same time. It almost looks like a tomb. But then into the main store with shaders, we have the Dawning Brilliance, which is another similar idea where it's dawning, but it's kind of all bright themed, so it looks good. It might be a good suit of armor, but at the same time, it's not exactly style. And Aniline Shock, which is something similar. If you wish to look like you are hunting something in the Arctic cold, that is something for you. And then the next, Dawning Celebration and Celestia, both of the things that appear on the main page. Now, I might make a video addressing this, but man, I do hate it when something right here is something that was already here, because then that's two spots of something rare and possibly otherwise not accessible throughout the year that could have been going to something else. And for our transmats, we have the Snowy Entrance, which is you popping out of a snowman in a dramatic fashion. The Sweet Entrance, which is you popping out of a peppermint candy in a gingerbread house. And the Peppermint Burst, which is basically the same thing, but you explode into little peppermints. And for our main items, we have the Get That Bread emote, which I believe is from last year. You basically take apart an exotic emote, and next thing you know, you have bread. Because you got that bread. There's nothing else to say there. And the Graceful Spin, in case you want to give people a headache and dizziness just by staring at you for a time. And I do believe this does not end until you manually stop it. So if you wish to just stay spinning, that is an emote for you. One of the early ones from early dawnings, the Hardpack Shell, basically a snowball shell for your ghost that has antlers and a weird kind of creepy smile when I look at it. But next is the Festive Stag, which I believe this one is new to this year, which is a very appropriate looking dawning sparrow or ship. But at the same time, it looks good during the winter, but then as soon as the dawning is over, it kind of looks a little bit out of place. Then next is the Glowmobile, which is a mini sparrow that is brand new to this year, which, mini sparrow. What else do I gotta say? Everyone wants a mini sparrow eventually. And next is the Brumal Dawn, which is basically hard light but frosty, which unfortunately it cannot turn into a stasis mode hard light. It doesn't look that bad, but it is an inherently simple, ornament. It just makes it icy and puts dawning logos on it and dawning patterns. But then lastly, the Candy Cane Projection for your ghost. Another projection only for the festive times. But with that, that is the end of the reset update. Of course, as I always say with the dawning or any other event, they will end as soon as the Tuesday reset comes around in however many weeks. At this point, it's 2 weeks. So if you wish to collect anything, get it while you can. Otherwise, just keep to the week at Destiny as usual, and I will see you in the next video.